Price makes a lower low. RSI refuses to follow. Many traders see divergence and immediately call it a signal. Something has changed, yes, but the market has not confessed everything yet. A divergence is not a signal by itself. It is pressure asking for confirmation. I observe, not instruct, for educational purposes only. To read divergence with discipline, we need 3 other layers. The first one is regime. Inside RSI, when we are above 50, the room is still positive. As long as the indicator remains there, the asset still has permission to keep searching for higher regions. But while RSI remains below 50, we cannot assume the market is ready to seek new highs. That would be an illusion. Structure. Even inside an indicator such as RSI, there is structure, pattern, geometry. Many analysts connect only 2 points to mark a divergence. That is not wrong. But if the indicator is drawing a broader trend through time, why ignore the rest of the evidence? In this example, when we connect the visible RSI tops on this time frame, even approximately one continuous line links tops from March 2024 to May 2026. This is not a small detail. It suggests trend. It suggests behavior. Now, when we also connect the price tops with a straight line, the coincidences remain visible until early October 2025. And from that region, the downtrend in Bitcoin price begins. Notice that I am not searching for the perfect trend line here. Markets rarely move as cleanly as they do in books. Context must be read. Now, if structure is present, are there other invisible guides inside the chart? Notice how, simply by duplicating the diagonals already found on the price tops, several new coincident points begin to appear. One could argue that, instead of parallels, we should search for triangles. And from my point of view, RSI itself gives a very clear triangular reading. But the geometric name is not the most important part. These are different ways of reading the same information. The real question is quieter. Inside this type of reading, were there clear signs that the trend was changing in October 2025? To answer that, we move to the third layer. Confirmation. There is no perfect confirmation, so we look for different signs that can strengthen the reading. No bias, only evidence. Let us clean the chart and begin with the essential. Between March 2024 and October 2025, RSI was already showing structural weakness, even though it still lived in a positive regime. But this was already the second time that price made higher highs, while RSI resisted below its own moving average. That was the first warning. Anyone still heavily allocated to Bitcoin at that point was carrying significant risk. The second warning came from the RSI moving average itself. It was making lower highs. And when the average descends, pressure is genuinely weak. Then came 2 more signs, both before price fully confessed the change. First, the RSI line moved into the negative regime. Soon after, the moving average followed. Anyone still waiting for the weekly bearish pivot was already late to the reading. Finally, even before the bearish pivot in price, RSI formed its first top fully inside the negative regime, still resisting below its own moving average. A participant who stepped aside there was seeing Bitcoin near $98,000. So, what now? We are beginning to see a possible positive divergence between price and RSI. But the regime is still negative, and structure has not repaired itself yet. We are still far below the downtrend line that began in March 2024. Nothing guarantees that we are not seeing something similar and proportionally inverted to this phase of the previous bull market. Or this one. Perhaps this one? But the last one, the most important because it comes before the turn, still has a clear answer. Not yet. Because if that were the case, we would already be seeing the RSI line above its moving average. Just as near the previous top, we saw it below the RSI moving average and close to crossing the 50 line. The next step, I leave with you. You can draw new lines like the ones we observed today. You can also search for new structures that help guide, refine, or challenge your view. What matters is that emotion does not take control of the reading, and that every divergence is treated for what it is, not an infallible signal but a change in pressure, still waiting for proof.